Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Cryptoware, and today we are going to analyze another EXE sample. This time also we are going to perform a very basic static analysis, and we are going to use three tools, which one would be PE Studio, Detect It Easy, and this time dnSpy. Okay, why are we using dnSpy? Because in our one of the upcoming videos we will be actually debugging this sample as well. I'll give you an idea of how you can debug the sample, what will be your approach towards debugging the sample. But here is a catch, there is something else also that I'll be talking about over here. So let's get started. So we'll start with PE Studio. Here is my sample, and I'll simply drag and drop it over here. And from here, what all details can we get is the entropy is the first thing. Of course, the hash is there. Entropy 5.1, which says that okay, this is not packed as per our previous videos where we have learned how to identify whether a sample is packed or not by checking its entropy. Second, here information that we are getting is it is using a .NET sample. It is a .NET sample basically. So we are not going to use X32 DBG, X64 DBG, but we are going to use dnSpy or ILSpy. In my previous video, I have used ILSpy because I was only performing static analysis, but this time we are going to debug it also. Right now, I'm not going to debug it, but I'll show you how we are going to perform the debugging or what will be our steps. But later on, we'll definitely be getting into that as well. Other information is SmartAssembly.NET Obfuscator. Now, this is something very interesting. This is not, this does not mean it is packed, but it is kind of related to the same genre. So it is kind of protector. Again, the goal is to again the goal is that the analysts or the researchers should not be able to directly go through the strings or be able to identify what all strings and imports and other functionalities are through its code. And that is the reason why protector is used. Let me know if you want me to cover a topic where I'm talking about unpacking, deobfuscation, or protector. Let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'll be sharing this samples hash in the description, so you can analyze the sample by yourself. You can follow this video for the static analysis part, and also you can try to do it on your own. You can check, but make sure that you are using a sandbox environment or a virtual environment. Do not run it in, or do not even perform static analysis in your host machine. So what other information? As I mentioned, that it says SmartAssembly.NET Obfuscator. It is 32-bit and it is executable. Here also the description is VenomRAT. So basically it is a rat. From virus total, we can see that the detection is 49 out of 72. So it is pretty good. It has a pretty good score. So it is malicious. And from here also we can say, it says that this is a rat, it is a backdoor. So we are pretty sure that this somewhere belongs to the information stealer category. And I always prefer using information stealer category malware because it does not mess up my files that much a ransomware does. But of course, I'll be analyzing a ransomware sample also in my upcoming videos. Some more information that we can get is about whether it is 32-bit. That is something we have gotten from there. Some signature resources. Strings is something that we can get, but we have not gotten it yet. Some more information over here, but I think we have got as much information as we can extract out of PE Studio for now. A lot of information. So for static analysis, this information for now at the very basic level is completely fine. Again, I'm mentioning that this is a very beginner friendly video that I'm making. In also, my videos are beginner friendly, even though we are touching slightly the advanced or the intermediate part, but I'm trying to make it as easy for the beginners to understand or get an idea of how all these analysis is done. So once we have gotten our information from PE Studio, we'll go to Detect It Easy. I've closed it and I'll simply drag and drop it over here. And what information do we get here? That it tells us the operating system, it is 32-bit, linker that has been used, language, libraries.net. Protector is Smart Assembly. So we are now sure that it is using Smart Assembly. So the genre is similar to unpacking. It is not exactly the same, but it's kind of similar. So again, to identify all everything about the sample, we have to remove this protection. Now, why am I saying that we have to remove the protection? Is something that I'll show you through the dnSpy that we are using. So here, dnSpy, I have already loaded this sample. Here you can see the entry point is already mentioned over here. Some more details from here. Okay, the entry point name is something very gibberish. We'll just decompile it. We'll open it and we'll see that it has, here is the entry point. This is what it says. A lot of things, ngc hash, ngc has been used. There are lots of information that we can actually read. It's not that we cannot read it completely, but it's still slightly difficult. It is using console.write line. There is double hash which is used, some unicodes, a lot of things that is really not understandable to that extent. Still, if you want, you can guess like what it might be trying to do. So like from here we can see that it is using maybe some argument. We are not sure about it. Is it talking about some argument or not? So why am I showing you all this? Because it is still slightly gibberish for us. So it has kind of protected it so that the code is not as easily visible to the analysts or the researchers. So for that, we will be using another tool, and this is the catch, which is d4.exe. Uh, this tool is an open source. You can get it from the GitHub. I'll be sharing the GitHub link in the description, and also from there you can compile it into .exe. So you can use it for yourself. Everything is already available over there. It is open source. So d4 dot can help you in deobfuscating or removing the protection of the sample of the .NET sample. So this is specific to .NET samples. So you can do it using this. So sometimes some inbuilt samples, some open source tools, or some samples which have been protected using some tools are possible to remove their protection using some other tools or some other utilities. For example, UPX. We do have a utility which UPX utility which you can use to unpack the sample. And similar to that, you can do that for .NET sample for Smart Assembly as well using d4 dot. So we do not have to do much over here, but we will simply drag and drop it and open it using d4 dot. So you'll see that something opens up and it says that it is saving the file named as the hash underscore or sorry hyphen cleaned.exe. So it has deobfuscated the sample for us and it stores in the same location. This is the one. You can see that it is named as cleaned.exe. So I had already opened it up over here. So this is the obfuscated or protected sample. If you go here to this part, here here you can see the entry point is quite visible, which is class 24 dot main. If you compare it with this one, here the entry point is not that easily readable. What do I mean by readability is that it is quite messy, like it does not make much sense. You cannot understand what it is doing. Okay, but here after removing the protection, you can see that the main class is named as class 24 dot main. Also you can see all the module names which is defined as ns1, ns10, ns2, ns3, but here you will see some numbers have been used starting with hash. So that is a difference that you can see. Also in the Smart Assembly protected sample, you can see everything is defined with respect to Smart Assembly dot attributes. So if you go here, you'll see all these things have been defined with respect to that. Although it is readable, it's not that that you're not able to read it completely, but using but deobfuscating it, making it easy, makes it easy for you to read the sample or go through the sample, at least statically. So statically, as I had mentioned before also, you can gather as much information is possible before performing any dynamic analysis. Static and dynamic analysis go together, they complement each other, so it is very important to perform them together, so it gets very easy for you to analyze the sample. So here, if I go to the main class, to the entry point basically, so you can see how it is readable, how easy it is to read, what modules it is using. So here is the class 24, what DLL it is trying to import, what is it trying to do. Here we can see that console dot write line has something written over here, as compared to if we go here, you can see these things. Console.writeLine is not very clear. So we'll go to the unpacked one or deobfuscated one. Again, these two things are not exactly the same, but are similar, and also the depend on the basis of what you are doing, like what has been used, which tools have been used, how the protection has been done, how the obfuscation has been done. So it totally depends on those things. Sometimes you can use them interchangeably, but it is not at all the same all the time. Okay, sometimes it looks like they are the same, sometimes they are different, so it depends on what has been used. Most of the time, the kind of tool that has been used to protect the sample or obfuscate the sample makes all the difference. So again, we go to the entry class and we see entry point, what all information is present over here, what all details that we can get. So here we can see that it is talking about process start info, new process start info. It is using run as cmd.exe slash c. So this is something that it is trying to open in the hidden mode. So once we execute this sample, we will not be able to see this because it will be opened in a hidden mode. So this is the kind of information that we gathered just through static analysis. Now, if we go scroll below, we can see some more methods and functions that have been defined. So it talks about get directories, d colon slash sample. We are not sure of what it is trying to do. Another thing that we can see that it is also trying to open some data.txt. We do not know what is it, but it is trying to open it. It is trying to read something. It is trying to write maybe something, but it's using console.write line. We can see DLL import. It is using kernel32.dll, and most probably it will be using some API calls related to that. What all information that we can get, it is importing another DLL. So there are a lot of things. It is using sleep function, thread.sleep. So most of the time the samples use sleep to evade detection, because sometimes you feel that the sample is running, but if it sleeps for some time, you will see that nothing is happening, so you will feel that okay, there's nothing wrong, maybe it just hanged or there was some other issue maybe. So it is it's using thread.sleep. It is writing some, so most probably it is collecting maybe some details and writing it down in data.txt. Maybe, we are not sure. Again, here is something that we see console.write. We are not sure why is it using enter character. Is it asking us to enter some character? We are not sure. What else? We can see a lot of information. Net use get info. Again, write line has been used, ex.message, finally block executed. Again, it is using user 32. As you can see that all these things are quite readable, and it's possible for us to identify what it is trying to do through just going through the code. We can run it. Of course, we'll be running it, we'll be executing it later on. But this is how you can go through the entire code. So statically, we have already learned about how to perform static analysis of an unpacked .NET sample previously. You can go through the video. I'll share the description. Again, share the link in the description below, so you can go through that. Now, why am I using dnSpy over here? So that we can perform some sort of debugging also. Now, that debugging will be required a lot when you're performing some kind of unpacking. Right now, we don't need to perform any unpacking, but it's not just that for unpacking a sample, you need to perform debugging. You can also perform debugging to identify what each function is doing. For example, if it is using a specific DLL, why is it using? We can set a breakpoint over there. So if I suppose this is the entry point, right? You can click here and you can see start debugging. So you can click on 5 F5 to start with the debugging process. Before that, I'll just set up a breakpoint over here. So it has set up a breakpoint over here. Okay. Next, what else we are going to? We want to see that what is happening over here. So you can directly select from here and toggle breakpoint, or maybe you can just click on F9, whichever is more feasible for you. Which one do you, whichever is like more convenient. You like to use keyboard, you can use directly from here. It totally depends on you. I want to set up a breakpoint over here as well. I would toggle a breakpoint over here. So it has set up a breakpoint just to see what happens. Also, I want to set up a breakpoint over here. So this is the very first step of setting up a breakpoint. Okay. So all the debuggers work in a very similar way. If you remember in one of my previous videos where I was trying to extract a PE sample out of another malicious sample, or I was trying to identify a dropper, there also we were setting up some breakpoints. Setting up those breakpoints actually help you in identifying what each functionality is doing. By each functionality, I mean to the ones that you are actually setting up a breakpoint to. So here, once you start debugging, you will see some other information like step over, step into. This is also something that we did with X32 or X64 debugger previously. So the debuggers help you with going through each step to identify how is the sample behaving. So again, if I want to perform a dynamic analysis or debugging of this sample using dnSpy, I would try to open a process hacker just to see how it is behaving. I'm not going to get into too details, but we will be definitely performing a dynamic analysis of it. For now, I'm just giving you an idea of what you can do or how you can go about with debugging using this dnSpy. And also, we have also learned about how you can use d4 dot. It's quite simple. There are other ways also how d4 dot can be used. You can actually deobfuscate a number of samples. Like it's not just you can deobfuscate only one sample, or you can remove protection of only one sample. There are ways how you can do for multiple samples also. I'll share the link. You can go through the GitHub link. You'll see that they have all details related to that. So here I'll open Process Hacker. Excuse me. So I'll just open it over here. So we'll check where is our dnSpy opened so that we keep an eye on it. So here is our d4.exe. We can close it as well. Here is dnSpy. Okay. So here, if I start debugging, it will ask some questions. So I'll just say that break at entry point and I'll click on OK. And here we can see that the child process has been created over here. Okay. So we have started with the debugging process, and I'm using the cleaned one, not the previous one, because I have already removed the protection using d4 dot. So now the breakpoint is over here. So this is the next statement that will get executed. So here above you can see how you can stop debugging. You can restart. Next statement. step into, step over, and step out. For now, we are mostly interested with toggle breakpoint, step over, step into. By the way, I'll be covering another series where I'll discuss about various tools that are used during malware analysis. So I'll be starting that series soon. And there I'll also be discussing about these tools as well, where we'll talk about all these functionalities that are used and why they are used. So stay tuned and please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Cryptoware, because I'm trying to cover as much topics as possible and in a beginner friendly manner so that you can get an idea of how you can get started with malware analysis. The only thing that you need is to have patience and keep working on it. And of course, you'll have to keep learning, and that's why you need to have patience and you'll be able to do it. So we'll just do step into, and we see something happened. We'll just keep an eye that we have not ended up executing it. Excuse me. So here you can see some more information about what is happening. Let me see if I can, yes, I can increase the font. Yes. So decompiler generated variables cannot be evaluated. So that's totally fine. We are not looking for anything perfection as of now. I'm not trying to run it very perfectly right now. The only thing that I'm trying to do is understand how you can perform debugging. Okay. How you can get started. The rest of the thing will be more practice, going through more videos or blogs where people have actually analyzed using these debuggers. That will definitely help you. So we'll again step into, and something happened over here. Sometimes you may end up executing the sample, and that is totally fine, and that is why you need to use your virtual box, or I mean to say a virtual machine or a sandboxed environment. And also make sure that you take a snapshot of the uninfected part so you can always get back to the uninfected part and you can again start with the process of debugging or analyzing the malware. So we can see some more information. There's a folder, environment.special folder. We are not sure what is it trying to do. Let's see. So here you can see some more details, system.runtime. Another few things that you can see, that what all functionalities are used. For example, whenever a sample tries to unpack itself, it uses virtual alloc, virtual protect, etc. These API calls are used. Similarly, some modules and some calls are made over here. They also use the same calls, but I'm talking about some modules. For example, system.reflection would be something which can be considered as something to look into, because maybe it is trying to execute something or maybe it is trying to load something. So you get an idea of all these things with time. So here again another step into, and it has decompiled something else, and we'll see what all details are we getting from here. Have we executed it somewhere? Not yet. We have not executed it yet, but we can just see what all information is here. Runtime, static members. See here you can see, are you getting something, some information which is very interesting? System.delegate, system.enum. Is it trying to do something, some kind of enumeration? We are not sure. Invoke method. So is it trying to invoke something? Maybe something will get invoked if we keep on performing debugging. And why not? Because we are actually debugging a malicious sample. So most probably it will do that. So let's try. Let's see what else happens. It's totally fine to, make mistakes or not understand what is happening, but right now you're getting a gist of what is happening. Let's run step over and another. So runtime some get enum underlying type. So one thing that we can always try is, when we are seeing all these kinds of functions, you can quickly go and check Google, like why is it being used? Like what is the, like for what reason these functions are used. Maybe the function is an inbuilt function, or maybe it could be some function that they have defined. So we will get an idea. Like, even if you have no idea which functions are used, which modules are used, it's totally fine. You need to just research on it and do some googling and understand what is happening over there. So again, perform step over. You can perform step into as well. Step into will get you through each of the within the codes as well. With step over, it will just run over the each functional steps basically. And with step into, you get into the function. That is a major difference. We'll discuss about it later in our videos where we'll discuss about the tools. So I'm just checking what else is happening. So while doing this, we also try to understand at what point it has actually started its execution. See, it has already started its execution because we have, gone through the entry point and everything. But what do I mean by it has started its execution is the malicious activities, from where it is trying to do, at from which point there is something that gives you an idea that this is where I need to give a look. Like, this is where something malicious has been activated, or something has started, or maybe it is trying to do something over here, or from this point. That is the point you're looking for, and that is why debuggers are used. The approach is very same while using any debuggers. It's just that the tool and the way is slightly different. I would say the way is also not that different, it's just the tool is very different. Like, step over, step into, toggling breakpoints are something that we have done in X32 or X64 debugger as well. So I'll again go here. And meanwhile, you can keep having a look at what is happening over here. Are we getting some more information? Is there anything interesting for us to see here? We can see that system.reflection that I was talking about. Maybe it is trying to invoke something. We are not sure what it is trying to invoke, but it is trying to invoke something. Meanwhile, just keep a look at the process hacker if anything has gotten executed or not. So enum dot is defined value. It is returning something. What is it supposed to return? We can have a look if there is something interesting that we can get from here. So still not yet. Maybe we'll have to look a bit more to identify what is happening. We'll again do step over. And have we executed something? No. So it's defined, it is talking about some special folder. We are not sure which special folder it is talking about. Uh, Meanwhile, we can also check from process hacker about the properties if we get something interesting from here. Is there anything interesting? Not yet. And it is unverified and it is already named as VenomRAT. So let's go ahead and do step over. Some special folder option. We are not sure what it is trying to do. Maybe it is creating some folder, or maybe it is trying to look for some folder. So from here, as you can see, that we can edit the values as well. So we can perform a lot of things from here. We'll again perform step over. Let's see, we have not executed it here yet. This time it is calling another class, which is ns3.class21. We'll see if there is any interesting information that we can get, but does not look like. But here we can see there is something which is base 64 encoded. We can definitely have a look, like what it could be. So from here also you can add breakpoint, but for now I'm just copying and I just want to see what it could mean, like as a base 64, if it is base 64 encoded. So you can use any online tool, or I would suggest, if you're trying to use any confidential information or any analysis that of a malware that you're trying to do which is confidential, make sure you're using inbuilt tools and not any open source tools or any public tools. So we'll just decode it. And this is not as readable as we thought, but that is totally fine. We found something which is quite interesting. And that is how we perform the analysis. Whenever we find something, we try to identify what it is trying to do. Here, process hacker, yeah. So from process hacker, we'll keep looking, we'll keep having a view that whether we are executing something, and also from here you can get more information about it. You can keep on continuing with the debugging part. So this is the analysis part where you see some strings, you see something interesting, you just get all the dots. Later on you try to connect the dots, or with time you understand how to connect those dots, and that is how the analysis works on. So as I mentioned that I'm not going to perform the entire dynamic analysis of the sample. We'll be definitely performing this, like we'll debug this, and we have gotten a lot of information through static analysis itself, because we have this unprotected and unpacked sample over here. We'll perform the dynamic analysis too, but for now I have given you just a gist of how you can perform debugging using dnSpy as well of a .NET sample, of an unpacked .NET sample, and how you can remove the protection using default dot. So that's it for today. We'll be continuing with the same sample in the later videos, and also I'll be coming up with a series where we'll be analyzing tools. We'll be learning about various tools to use while performing analysis. So please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you want me to cover anything else. We'll slightly get into the advanced part gradually, and these are completely beginners friendly. So if you feel that the topics are very easy or maybe too difficult at point, let me know. But the topics that I choose or the videos that I'm making, that is completely specific to the beginners who have no idea or they do not understand how to get started with malware analysis or find it very difficult to perform the analysis. So thank you so much. See you in the next video.